Welcome back. I've got Vikas Sehgal. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Michael?
I am really well. Been looking forward to this conversation for a bit now. So why don't you share a little bit about you, and then we're going to jump into this very important conversation.
Sounds good. First of all, thank you so much, Michael, for having me on your show. So a little bit about myself. I was born and brought up in India. I went to college there, went to IIT Delhi, which is a premier engineering school, got my computer science from there. And shortly after that, I moved to the US. And that's the time when we were building our first company, which is called Nagaro. And I led that company for close to 20 years, during which time it went from zero to about 100 million in revenue and a few thousand employees. Um, and so around the time when I stepped down from that role, and I wanted to pursue another entrepreneurial journey, which is today Hyperdart. It's in the internet search space. We're building a new kind of search engine, which is, I would say it has never been done before. Search, more like a platform, a pluggable platform that we're building at Hyperdart. Um, so that's a little bit about my background, primarily an entrepreneur and computer engineer at heart.
Yeah, and one thing that I love about entrepreneurs like yourself is you'll launch something and then you'll take it to, where it is going to be, and then you'll step away from it and then you'll launch something else. And it's just one of those things once you start, it's like I know how to do this, and of course you learn lessons along the way, but you pick up, and then of course, with launching Hyperdart, taking on internet search in a different direction is no small feat, but I'm a firm believer in, the companies that are, gigantic today weren't always gigantic. They
Yeah,
started off small, and, they may have, entered a space where there was already a big player, and, they came in and took things over. A classic example, of course, is IBM and Microsoft.
yeah,
And IBM was gigantic, it's still a big company, but nowhere near as revered, quite frankly, as they used to be. And Microsoft, was a small little, Washington startup. And next thing you look at them today, and everything that we do and touch, has Microsoft fingerprints all over it. And it's, uh, so when, entering a space, when people say, yeah, but there's somebody already in there. And, yeah, and when I talk to potential authors too, and they want to write a leadership book, I say, there's so many leadership books out there. Yes, but
mm,
there's always new ones that come out, and there has not been one that's been written by you with
mm,
your experience, your insights, your desires, what you want to share with the world. So, when you launched, Hyperdart, and you're like, okay, we want to do search differently. Let's walk through that. What does that look like for people? And taking on, the big search company, and even, we know, and we can mention it. It rhymes with Google. Google wasn't always number one. I
yeah,
remember Alta Vista. I remember Yahoo. I remember a lot of other search engines that were out there, and Google came in, after all of them, and through attrition and everything else, we see where things are today. Doesn't mean they're always going to be here, because a stat that I share on the show quite a bit is 52% of the Fortune 500 companies from the year 2000 are either gone or they were acquired. So
yeah,
just because you're the biggest doesn't mean you're going to last. So that's a lesson for everybody. For those that are growing, they want to be big, and those that are big that want to stay. It's a rude reminder for everybody. So
right.
let's talk through HyperDart, and share what you can about the platform, and
Sure.
what it's doing, and what it aims to be doing in the future.
Sure, sure, absolutely. And very well said, Michael. I think every 20 years or so, an industry gets disrupted, and especially when there are players that are entrenched and they're doing things one way. Either a new technology or a new business model would come up and would disrupt the industry altogether. And it's a classic case of the innovator's dilemma, where it is easier for an incumbent to come in and either come in with a different business model or implement a new technology or combination of technologies to disrupt an industry. So in terms of Hyperdart, so the way we're building Hyperdart is quite different from how traditional search has worked. Traditional search has been primarily a web crawler based technology. Go out, crawl the web, index, do keyword searches, and give links to pages. These days, we put another layer on top of that, which is, okay, you can read those pages and summarize and give answer snippets or AI generated answer. In all of this ecosystem, if you think about how users are looking for information and they're providers of information, and the search engine primarily sits in the middle, directing traffic or certain content from one side, summarizing and showing it to the users. And in this entire ecosystem, the providers that suffer the most are these information creators, the publishers, the knowledge creators and curators. Those people who have the best knowledge and information, or the most curated or the most authoritative information, those are the people who should have the biggest seat at the table and should take a lion's share of the revenue that is generated from the search ecosystem. And that doesn't happen today. Today, the search takes most of that revenue, and the publishers and the knowledge creators and curators, they are left scrambling for the bits. They spend a lot of time, effort, money to get the clicks to their site, either through SEO or SEM. And then once they get the traffic to their site, then they have to recoup those costs and make some money on top of that. So they have to show either more ads or put a paywall. Um, and from a user's perspective, they're typically just seeing links to sites or AI summaries. Hyperdart is actually disrupting this entire ecosystem. So what we're saying is build search like a platform where all of these knowledge creators, all these publishers, they can directly plug in their information. And they appear as intelligent answer cards, which are called darts on our platform. And they're interactive cards, interactive knowledge cards that appear within search. And so it improves the user's experience, but what is in it for the publishers? Those are their crown jewels, that information content. So the platform actually monetizes the traffic and shares revenue back with these information creators. So think of it as a platform where knowledge creators and curators and publishers, they can bring in their information and monetize it there. So that is a very different model from what exists today. We even allow the publishers to build an audience on the platform. So, the users can like or upvote or follow, so they'll see more of their content in search results. So in a way, search combined with some, so to say, social media. So this gives those publishers two main benefits. One, they can monetize their content on the search platform itself, and they can build an audience of users on the search platform itself. Search so far has been very transactional. There's no social element to it. There's no way for a user to even say that they prefer a certain type or certain providers or certain kind of content. So we're changing a lot of that. And from a user's perspective, get to customize their own search experience, and they get a better search experience because the level of integration that we have with those information providers is much deeper, so they can see more intelligent content within search. So that's how we're disrupting the entire search ecosystem.
I love that. And just, thinking about the darts, where you look up something online, use a search engine, and what it feeds you could depend on a lot of different factors,
Yes.
even to the point where you could search for a particular subject, and even though you rank really well,
Hmm.
if someone pays for an ad, they're likely going to be shown above you,
Yeah.
and and again, even with the search engines, they could give you, okay, here's the link to my site, for example, and what it shows on there, I may have some control over what it shows, but not complete. Where in the situation in your platform where you have a Dart, eh, I love the monetization. I want to talk about that in a moment too. But the fact is, okay, you get to see, what I want, to be portrayed by my organization as a benefit to whoever's looking up a particular service, whatever it happens
Yeah.
to be, where you can fine tune it and say, this is it. Because a website, love them, hate them, indifferent to them, whatever the case may be, in many cases, it's kind of our here's everything, here's the
Yeah.
entire store. Well,
Yeah.
our attention spans and our capability to take in that much information at once is limited, if not impossible. So this way you can say, okay, someone's looking for this. You can tailor it in such a way, okay, yeah, here's this, here's our Dart. This is how we address what you just looked for. And here it
Yes.
is, and in a format that is clean. And obviously, you can link to other things. We do other things
Yes.
too if you're interested. But
Yes.
I see that as a definite benefit. And then, of course, the monetization side of things
Yeah.
is, that's a game changer in my opinion, because for organizations when they put out their website in a way is an advertisement for their organization.
Yeah.
However, number of people who look at my site, I'm not getting direct revenue from that. If they do
Mhm.
something from the website or purchase something or do something like that, then okay, I could get some revenue stream on that. But this way, it's leveraging it in a way where when people are searching, they're going to find it. And okay, you can argue about social media. Most people, I mean, some will search. They'll look up on TikTok or Instagram for something,
Yeah.
but more often than not, when they are looking up or researching something, they're not going to social media,
Yeah.
right? Unless it's a,
Exactly.
a subject matter. It's like, okay, I want to see what LeBron did last night, or I want to, see what are the reviews for this latest movie that came out, or whatever. Okay, yeah, they might go there, but usually if they're researching something, like they want to buy something or they want to understand something more, they're usually using a browser and they're not going to a social media channel. So I look at this as these darts in many ways are kind of like a social media post in
Yeah.
that it's in a format where people are, kind of used to that format, but it gives you a whole lot more because, as we know, your TikToks, your Instagrams, and X and Facebook will only allow you to give you so much information. And again, they may, regulate it where no one is seeing your content. And you're like, why is no one
Right.
seeing my content? And we've seen that time and time again. So love to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I think you hit the nail on the head. Businesses will go and create posts or some kind of presence on different social media channels, depending upon what their audience is and so on and so forth. Um, so they might create some LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn posts, or go to Instagram and post some content there. Um, but there is no way for a business to create a presence on the search platform. That is all algorithm driven. they'll say, okay, we'll just go to your website and we'll pick up some content from there, index it, and show it within search. There is no way for a business, a publisher, a knowledge creator to have an intelligent presence on the search platform. And the reason for that is search was never considered a platform. Everything else, all the other social media were considered platform where businesses or individuals can create their own presence and show thought leadership. Or, some platforms are like Instagram, TikTok, a lot of them are more entertainment driven, also knowledge, but primarily entertainment driven. Um, but on search, it was never considered a platform. It was always considered an engine that produces results. But once you start to think of it as a platform, then all of these things become very obvious that you need to have a way for these publishers, the knowledge creators and curators to be able to have a presence. And for that, you need creator tools, tools that they can use to create intelligent, knowledge content that can be published to the search platform. Or for the larger publishers and larger creators, we even have programmatic access that they can programmatically plug in their content and that can surface within search. So I think once we start to fix the nomenclature around search, search rather than being an engine is a platform, then you begin to realize that you do need uh, these businesses to have, or even individual experts to have a mechanism to build their presence, to build their thought leadership, to build their followership on the search platform.
Yeah, and I think that's, a key thing. It's a lot of it is also consumer behavior and changing how they do things. And we've seen in time, time and time again, where consumer behavior changes when there are new ways of doing things. We'll pick on rideshare for a minute, your Ubers and the Lyfts of the world. You go back 20 years ago and you say, okay, you're gonna use your phone and you're gonna, reach out to somebody and a complete stranger is gonna pick you up and you're gonna get into the back seat of their car. Back then, people would be like, "Are you nuts? What are they? There's no way I'm getting in a stranger's car." We do it every day now because it's a
Hmm.
different and there's mechanisms and safety features and all that other fun stuff. But that is a behavior that's completely changed from, and even smartphone. And people freak out. I left home, I left my phone, I had to go back and get it. Well,
Hmm.
we're both of age where we used to go out and about. We didn't have a phone. We didn't have access to a phone other than a pay phone maybe. And we went out and about and did our things and made it home safely and made it to our destinations and without using a GPS or anything like that. So consumer behavior can be shifted by the technology that's available, and I think that's where you know what you're doing with Hyperdart is so really engaging and also really interesting because I think it creates an opportunity for people to get the information that they want in a consumable way, but also for the creators to be able to monetize that a lot easier than the current system with people using search as an engine instead of using search as a platform.
Right. And I'm really glad that you brought out these examples like Uber or Airbnb, and these are built like platforms, like these are marketplaces. And we're taking to some extent, I mean, if we just extend that simile, we're taking that concept to the knowledge ecosystem. So if you think about an Uber or an Airbnb, um, they built, so they did not go about competing with the Marriotts and the Hiltons of the world. by creating another Marriott or another Hilton hotel, right? They built a platform where individual providers could plug in their availability, their rooms, or in the case of Uber, a platform where individual drivers could plug in their availability rather than building a new taxi service. Um, so if you take that same concept to the knowledge ecosystem, um, you can think of search as different providers who have nuggets of information or information, in-depth information about specific slivers of knowledge. And once you put them all together under one platform, you can compete with the biggest search engines in the world. So it's exactly the same concept rather than reinventing search in the traditional way. Uh, once you think of search as a platform, you can plug in different providers that have authoritative, in-depth information about specific topics. And once you put them under one platform, you can answer users' queries in a more intelligent way, in a more in-depth way, and it is also beneficial to the providers of the information.
Yeah, it connects people a little bit more. We're just, website and a search engine. Okay, there's my site. Okay, I might have a chat bot on there, but unless you specifically reach out, there's likelihood of engagement is reduced. Where with these darts, obviously, the engagement level could increase, and I think that's where customer experience comes into play big time because you get almost, the ability to, instantly access and reach out and learn the things that you're specifically looking for as if you're physically walking into a store and going to a salesperson and saying, yes, I'd like to know more about this. Well, that's been lacking. And even with social media and all that, it's been lacking. And even with chat bots, it's getting better, but it's still not there. It doesn't, still nothing out there replicates that real life walking into a physical store or a physical location to get a service. We haven't found that yet, but it's definitely sounding like that Hyperdart is bridging that gap tremendously to make that a reality for people.
Yeah, one step at a time. We're working on it.
And that's awesome. So, really love this conversation. Where can people find out more about you, this company, and everything else you're doing?
So they can visit Hyperdart at hyperdart.com. It's Hyperdart, hyperdart.com. They can find me. I'm primarily on LinkedIn. So if you search for my name and the company name, there's only one of me. Um, and happy to connect with your audience, and if they have any questions or if they want to discuss, we're always happy to engage with businesses that have knowledge to share. Also, businesses that typically find themselves on the short end of the search ecosystem, either SEO, SEM type of issues. So we're happy to engage with businesses. We love businesses that have authoritative information or content that can be plugged into search. We also work with a number of individual experts, who for whom we have templatized answer cards that they can publish. So happy to talk to your audience further and continue the conversation.
Definitely, and I'll have all those links in the show notes. So, really appreciate you. Congratulations on the success so far, and really looking forward to see how far this goes because it's definitely needed. So, thanks again for being on the show today.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me.